Hey everybody, welcome back. I've decided to sort of switch filming spots for portable fans simply because I just wanted to. Um, but yeah, so this is going to be a video about the fan on the left. If you haven't yet, you may have already seen the fan on the right. I posted about that one. I made a video about that one last month or so, I think. And this is kind of like a part two because I just got the one on the left today. Um, so yeah, these are both Tatung 12-inch oscillating desk fans. The fan on the left, the one that I just got today, is a model LC-12PW. And the one on the right, which I have had, is a model LA-12. So the one on the left, the new one, is obviously a slight bit newer, just from the design. Um, but yeah, so I'm assuming that the LC-12PW came out or was made in probably around the mid 80s or so, possibly, not sure. But there are some clues that could possibly give us a potential time range, and I'll get into that in just a few minutes. But first, let's take a look at these two fans and the differences. So you can see that the center grill medallions are different, first of all. The LC has the chrome medallion that's actually seen on most Tatung desk fans from this time period. I think that's a very common style, although a number of ones that I've seen don't have the Tatung logo, or they don't have the Tatung brand name logo in the center there. They just have a silver button, like on the LA. But this one has the Tatung brand name on it, so that's pretty interesting and pretty cool. So this one might be a slightly earlier one, not sure. Um, and yeah, the one on the left has that cream colored off-white medallion. The blades are both blue, so that's another reason why I think this one might be a little bit newer, or sorry, earlier of this generation. Um, and it's got darker blades, of course. They are transparent; they're not opaque like the the Hung-Hsing that I have aren't quite opaque either. It's more similar to the Hung-Hsing that I have, although they are darker than that. Um, now the base is smaller and more sort of streamlined, which is kind of a characteristic that was also shared with Galaxy. They sort of updated their base in that similar style as time progressed, because you can see the LA has that more blocky, more squared off base with a neck that you can clearly see with a separate attachment to the base, whereas the LC has that smooth transition from the base to the neck. But yeah, so now I'm going to remove the LA here because I don't really need it anymore. So this one is obviously a later model. Um, Definitely has those later characteristics. And I do believe this might be the very first of this like generation, so to speak, of Tatungs with the later style base. And then the latest ones had gray blades, and they were a little bit cheaper. So yeah, now I'm going to turn it to the side, and you can see the motor housing is a lot more yellowed than the base for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. So are the buttons. It has the regular push buttons, just like the other one I forgot to mention. Um, and it has that sort of rounded off grill. And the grill is both chrome on the rear grill and the front grill, unlike the older ones, which had the rear white grill and the chrome front grill. Um, so now here's where things get a little interesting. So if I turn the fan to the back, you can see it has a very interesting, sort of familiar motor housing design. Those of you who know me and know my collection, and the fans that are special to me, probably recognize that. It's a very square motor housing with these vertical vents. And that is because it's the exact same motor housing that this fan, my childhood Cool Breeze A137 has. So if I set them side by side, you can see they're exactly the same. Same exact curvature here. Yeah, everything is exactly the same with that. And so then I began to notice more similarities between these two fans. The cage is exactly the same as well. Notice how they both have the extra rings, supporting rings around the front and the rear here. Handle's exactly the same. Both have the exact same hanger and the hinges here. And the shape itself is also exactly the same. I mean, yep, exactly the same. So then I decided to take a look at the bottom of the fan where the informations are, and I guess I'll show it to you right now on this fan. The Tatung Electric fan, model number LC-12PW, and serial number of ratings and everything, made in Taiwan, distributed by Tatung Company of America. And then notice the not even in frame there, the UL number there at the top there, 798F fan, the UL listing. If we look at the Cool Breeze, notice the number, 798F. So, also made in Taiwan. So, I'm wondering if, because it said distributed by Tatung, I'm wondering if Hung-Hsing, which is supposedly the manufacturer of the Cool Breeze, is the manufacturer of this one, and possibly all the subsequential ones, although I'm not entirely sure on that. So, very, very interesting. So I'm not sure if Tatung is the OEM of this one, or if Hung-Hsing is the OEM of this one. Kind of a mystery, but very interesting to find that that one was the exact same, because I got in the car and I noticed that motor housing looks exactly like the Cool Breeze. And lo and behold, it is. So, yeah, very, very interesting. So now I'm going to put the Cool Breeze down and we're going to go ahead and give the Tatung a test. Oh, and then the other thing I forgot to mention, I don't really need the Cool Breeze up here, but the other similarity, the blades, they're pretty much the exact same shape. The hub is a little bit different, and the nut that screws it on is smaller, but it is the exact same black colored nut, like how the Cool Breeze has the light blue blades and the black nut. But it's smaller because the hub is like rounded. I'll show it to you up close after we give the fan a test. And obviously they're a darker color blue and they're semi-transparent, like translucent, I guess. So now let's go ahead and turn the fan on. And actually, I have my kilowatt meter right here plugged in. So I'm gonna set that up here so you guys can see. Well, you guys can't see, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the fan on and then I'll hold it up over here so you guys will be able to see it, or see the ratings and everything. Let me just slide this over so I can get back over here. So, start the fan up on high. Very powerful. Has a nice startup sound too. Not very loud, but it's there. So, just make sure you can see. You're drawing almost about 0.4 amps. Very efficient. 44 watts. About 0.94 power factor. Yes, this thing's pretty efficient. I didn't check to see what the rating was for amperage, but it was in the informations that I showed. Down medium. And 2 amps, 39.4 watts, almost a full power factor. We just went up to 1. Yep. It's like teetering on the edge of 0.99 and 1. Okay, let's see what low does. About 0.3 amps, 35.3 watts, 1 power factor. Spin down from low. I did give it some oil. There are oil ports in the motor underneath of the motor housing. Alright, now engage the oscillation and start it up from low. And one thing I forgot to mention, actually a couple of things. It did have its original film over the switch plate badge there, and I do have it right here. I don't know why I kept it, but I do have it. And the oscillator mechanism, I didn't take it apart simply because I didn't have to, because it had oil holes for the front and rear bearings, but the mechanism, it's got a metal oscillator wheel attached to the shaft underneath of the gearbox, which is really interesting. It's like a vintage fan, and it's got, I think it's got 2 screw holes in it, but I think they're equal distances, so you can't like adjust the arc or anything like one of those old GEs or the old Emersons with the variable arc. But still very, very cool. So that also leads me to believe that this is probably an earlier one. This might be an early 80s model, honestly. It might be like transitional. It's got a moderately fast oscillation arc speed, I'd say. It's not super slow. Medium. Definitely slower than the Galaxies. And high. Oh, maybe not, that's pretty fast. Spin down from high. Okay. Might need to run it a little bit to break in the bearings. I don't know how long it's been since it last ran, but it is in fairly good shape. Now, the one issue I did have with the front grille medallion here, I think somebody like broke the, well, obviously somebody broke off 2 of the screw hole things, so I had to hot glue them back on, and they put a screw that was too big on this one. It didn't break, but it like kind of cracked through right there. You can sort of see, and it actually is poking through there, and it's sharp, so careful not to touch that. Push buttons are pretty yellowed, like I said, but the switch plate badge is in excellent shape considering it had the film on it still. Here's the back. I think this side must have been in the sun, because that side of the motor housing is a lot more yellow than that side. That side's almost actually white. So it must have been in a window or something, with that side facing the window right there with the sunlight pouring in. Very interesting, although the base did not yellow at all, interestingly enough. Yeah, and then of course there's the blades, as I mentioned, with that very rounded sort of hub, and then the nut, which is smaller than the Cool Breeze, which is very large, and the Cool Breeze isn't rounded at all either. So, let me not fall. But anyways, yeah, so I think that's just about it for this video. So that is the Tatung 12-inch oscillating desk fan model LC-12PW. And thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I will see you in the next video.